Okay, this second video is going to take a look at compounds. And again, you've seen and heard that word compounds before, and so now we're going to just clearly define what is a compound. This is a word you're going to hear throughout the rest of the semester, so when you hear it, you need to know what characteristics go with a compound. To begin with, compounds are also listed as pure substances. And the question would be asked, why and how on earth could that be listed as a pure substance when compounds are made up of multiple things? Well, think about if you had a glass of distilled water. Okay, so all H2O in this glass. By pure substance, we mean that that liquid that's in that glass is purely H2O. So therefore, compounds are also called pure substances. Another example would be, let's say that you had a cube of salt, NaCl. You had a salt cube here. Every single part of that is NaCl. It's purely salt. Okay, so one of the key things to remember about compounds is that they occur in a fixed ratio. And again, what does that mean? Well, for example, in the NaCl situation, you have one sodium atom for every one chlorine atom. There's a fixed ratio. Think about water, H2O. In this situation, every single compound of water has two hydrogens for every one oxygen. If you were to change that ratio, let's say 2 to 2, now we have two hydrogens to two oxygens, and now we no longer have water. Now we have hydrogen peroxide, which is extremely different from water with extremely different properties as well. So that fixed ratio is a biggie, and that compounds are always going to have a fixed ratio. The other thing to remember is that the elements that make up compounds have different properties than the compound itself. So, for example, let's look at the example of sodium chloride. Okay, chlorine on the periodic table is actually a very poisonous gas. It is one of the halogen gases, very reactive, and again, dangerous. However, when it chemically combines with sodium, it becomes part of a compound, salt, table salt, that is absolutely necessary for your body. So it's interesting in that these elements who by themselves can be very dangerous, when they chemically combine with others, they take on completely new properties. So that was a big thing that I wanted to mention in the PowerPoint and in the lecture, is that the individual elements have properties, but when they chemically combine, they take on new properties. Something else to think about with compounds is something that I just mentioned, and that is that they are chemically bonded together. And we'll talk more about bonding in Unit 5, but by chemically bonded, this sodium and this chlorine, they are chemically bonded together. This hydrogen and these waters, the hydrogens and the oxygens are chemically combined together. So when you see chemically bonded or chemically combined, you can rest assured that it is definitely a compound as well. These guys can be separated by chemical means, and that could be multiple different ways that we'll talk about when we get to chemical and physical changes. I just want to check and make sure that that's pretty much everything that I wanted to mention with compounds. If anything else comes up that I think of, I'll definitely let you all know in class.